Thank you. Increasingly, small businesses will be coming to the traditional lenders, the community banks and credit unions. If this recession is like past recessions, the companies that will lead us out of the recession will be small companies. Data for the last recession, I think, said that more than 90% of all the new jobs were created in companies of 1 to 4 employees. Those are really small companies. They'll be coming to the community banks and the credit unions. Community banks and credit unions, as far as I know, have made few or no subprime loans. They are financially sound. You are different than the banks that have made this plethora of subprime loans and are in financial difficulty. And yet you are burdened by what may be excessive response to this crisis with the regulatory changes. You are different. Why shouldn't you be treated different? If you aren't, I'm afraid that this recovery is going to be stifled, because you will not be able to make the loans that you know would be good loans to the people that you know could repay them, that would create jobs that will bring us out of this recession. If you're different, why shouldn't you be treated different?
I think we should be treated differently. I think that there should be a two-tier system of sorts that favors community banks. I think community banks do not create the problems of Wall Street, and we'd be in favor of rate relief, and we would be in favor of a change in the attitude as far as capital ratios are concerned too. Earlier in the panel, we heard a situation where how come community banks can't attract capital? It's because the 19th largest banks in the world were backstopped by the U.S. government, and there's a disparity of too big to fail out there. And so you create a level playing field, and I think that needs to be addressed.
I'd like to respond also and say I think in our economy we need banks of all size, and in reality an awful lot of the misery that was caused by the recession were really from non-regulated financial institutions, and to a great extent regulated financial institutions, regardless of their size, really did not contribute significantly to the downturn. Having said that, we certainly applaud appropriate financial regulation. I don't think that the current regulated institutions, be they large banks, small banks, credit unions, in my opinion, there is more than adequate regulatory supervision of those institutions. We would applaud some sort of regulatory scheme that is placed on the non-regulated financial institutions that really brought about this problem.
I would say that the number one thing I'd like to see is consistency in the regulations, because with the current environment, right now we're getting mixed signals on capital ratios, reserves, they're inconsistent. There's differences in capital ratios even between states, what are being considered the new thresholds, so to speak, even though they're unofficial. So there needs to be a consistency, and there also needs to be an understanding that a lot of the examining body at this point has never been through this kind of a downturn. A lot of the bank examiners are very young. As a matter of fact, I've been a banker in many cases longer than some of the bank examiners have been alive. So when you take that in consideration, there needs to be some common sense applied, some reason. And I'm not saying that we have to be regulated differently, just fairly.
Congressman, credit unions are being treated differently now because we have an artificial cap on how many loans we can do as a percentage of our assets. And as we approach that cap, we have capital and resources, but the cap is preventing us from doing more business lending.
I agree that I think we should, we are being treated differently. And one of the things that I wanted to clarify about, if we would, the hypothetical question about, excuse me? It is, I feel that it is benefiting the borrower. We are out there lending, and I don't follow.
I thought you said there were caps that you were up against that prohibited you from making loans you would like to loan.
That is correct. Okay. I'm going to just say one thing really quick here about the hypothetical, though. question about the TARP funds. And I just wanted to make sure that my intention there was that because we can't raise capital, it would be nice if we could get that capital injection. And I think that's how we're getting treated. That's also preventing us from growing and going out and doing what we need to be doing.
The gentleman's
Did I
time has
answer the
expired.
question?